Ladies and gentlemen, Lucasfilm continues to threaten us with more Star Wars projects. So it's looking like Simon Kinberg, he has produced a bunch of X-Men movies. He's done like a bunch of other stuff that I definitely know and that I'm choosing not to pluck out of my brain. But I feel like he's mostly known for his X-Men stuff. He he directed uh, a movie that I actually don't hate, but a lot of people do hate. X-Men Dark Phoenix. I think that was his like directorial debut or something like that. But yeah, I feel like he's very hit and miss. Actually, I'll just pull up the article. Give me one moment. Let's go up. Yeah, so it says here yeah, obviously he did a bunch of X-Men stuff. Oh, he says he produced The Martian. He wrote the scripts for Mr. and Mrs. Smith and co-wrote Sherlock Holmes. Murder on the Orient Express. He's done stuff. But as far as his connection to the latest Star Wars trilogy, which is allegedly happening, of course, with anything Star Wars, you have to say allegedly. Yeah, it says here that Lucasfilm has closed a deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. Now, that right there is a bit of a red flag because, quite frankly, I don't like the idea that Kathleen Kennedy is producing three more films down the line. At what point do we just let her go? Bob Iger, I know you're watching. I know you're a fan of the channel. At what point do we just move on from one another? I mean, come on. Like, listen, I'm not even like the biggest like Kathleen Kennedy hater. I'm not. Obviously, there's that whole sect of the fandom that like despises her. She just hasn't done a great job. I mean, it just is what it is. So the fact that we're planning another trilogy and we're talking about Kathleen Kennedy producing that trilogy, it's I don't know how she hasn't been fired yet. But moving on, I heard this will comprise episodes 10 through 12 of the Skywalker saga. That began with George Lucas's 1977 first film that, along with Steven Spielberg's Jaws, reshaped the global blockbuster game. All right, glazing. I get it though. Insiders disputed my intel that Kinberg will continue that storyline, saying this will instead begin a new saga and sit alongside Star Wars percolating projects with James Mangold, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi, and Donald Glover. As usual, Lucasfilm and Disney are not commenting. So that is actually an interesting point that they bring up there. There are like so many Star Wars projects that are like in the works where it's like, okay, sure, Simon Kinberg is writing and producing a new Star Wars trilogy. What is that? I'm sorry, are we supposed to take any sort of meaning from that? Are we supposed to have any kind of confidence that it's ever even going to come to fruition? Like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to believe that another Star Wars movie is actually real until my ass is in the theater and I am watching the end credits and the screen goes dark because the credits are over. Because as far as I'm concerned, at any point in time that I'm watching a new Star Wars movie in a theater, Kathleen Kennedy could very well run into the theater, run up into the projector room, take the reel, be like, sorry, we delayed the movie again. So it's like, it is one of those things where it's like, sure, we can have our opinions about Simon Kinberg and theoretically if he would be good or not, writing a new Star Wars trilogy, but it honestly doesn't mean that much to me. Like I can't bring myself to have much like stake into whether or not he would be a good fit. Um, because yeah, I mean, like you just they like let me bring that up again. Sure, he's right alongside the James Mangold movie, who the hell knows if that's ever going to happen. The Charmin Obey Chinoy Ray movie, who the hell knows if that's ever going to happen. Taika Waititi's movie, who the hell knows if that's ever going to happen. And Donald Glover's movie, who the hell knows if any of this stuff is going to happen. So yeah. And then yeah, as far as it being like a part of a new saga or a part of the Skywalker saga, I don't know. Although, like, even if you were to add on to the Skywalker saga, would you be forced to like involve the Skywalkers in it, or can we just call the Skywalker saga like the mainline Star Wars series of films and still like without needing to actually involve the Skywalkers? I think just as a fan at this point, like we can move on and start a new saga. Don't need to call it the Skywalker saga. You can say that it concluded with The Force Awakens, or not The Force Awakens. What is the last Star Wars movie called? I don't even remember. What is it? Skywalker Super Fun Time Happiness. I'm genuinely blanking on what the last Star Wars movie is called, but whatever. We can just end it with that. Start a new thing, introduce new characters, and be like, hey, this is the mainline Star Wars thing now, and then ideally make it good. I actually think that that's probably the way that they should go. Like we don't need movies with like, this is Luke Skywalker's granddaughter or whatever. I don't think that's necessary. But yeah, either way, we'll see. Simon Kinberg, he's a fine writer. You know, I like a lot of his stuff. You know, some of his stuff with X-Men is well received. I actually really love the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie. That's actually I think that's a pretty underrated movie. And I didn't hate Dark Phoenix. That being said, he probably shouldn't direct it. He should probably stick to producing and writing it. Get somebody else to direct it. I will say that. I will admit that, even though I don't hate Dark Phoenix. But yeah, let me know what you think about any of this in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.